Right, so recording. So listen, good afternoon, good morning, good evening, wherever you are. Thank you for joining us. Obviously, you've not come here to see or listen to me. You've come here to see the wonderful Erin, who we've been building a bit of momentum about this. But Erin is, I'm sure most of you will recognise Erin, but she's a bit of a global superstar when it comes to Keller Williams, really. And one thing that Erin is absolutely phenomenal at is teaching about the importance of database, growing a database, looking after that database, and how she's managed in New York City to build a really successful business and team by putting database first. So we are super, super excited. She's spoken on many occasions, over the years in the UK and internationally, and she's just a true friend, advocate, real champion for the business here in the UK, and we're really delighted to have her here with us. So whether you've heard her speak before or not, listen up, use both ears, use both hands to write down your notes, and listen, it's just going to be 90 minutes of absolute gold. So I'm excited. And Erin, I'll leave it. I'll pass the microphone over to you, really, to kind of introduce yourself and just kind of set the scene. Tell us what this is all about then.
Oh my gosh, wow. I don't know if I can live up to that introduction. Thank you so much. I am so excited to be here with all of you today. Actually, do I have permission to share my screen?
You will. Right.
Perfect.
Go.
I love it. Thank you. So I am super, super passionate about database. And the reason why is because I swear it changed my business and therefore completely changed my life. And I think one of the main reasons why I personally love Keller Williams, you don't have to be with Keller Williams, whatever company you're with, is this whole concept of building the life by design, working so that you can have the life that you want. I'm very interactive, so feel free at any point in time to interrupt me. I can't see you, so maybe someone could be in charge of, making me pause and stop so I can answer a question, but please do feel free to ask them because we're not going to get anywhere unless you have clarity about what I'm saying. So thank you for joining me, and let's get into the database. So some of you heard this, I was in real estate for about 3 years before I joined Keller Williams. And right after I joined, they started Ignite, and we had someone that was in our office at the time that was from Texas, live, breathe, die by KW. So when she came in to teach the Ignite class, it was by the book Ignite. And the second class is the database class. And, we're about New Yorkers, all of us were like, this doesn't work here. This doesn't work here. And by the end of the class, I was like, you know what? I'm just going to jump in. I'm going to have some faith in this. I took my database of thousands of people. Of course, I'm not crazy. I downloaded them all first, but then I just wiped it. And I made a commitment that nobody goes into my database unless they want to be in my database because I want the numbers that KW has. And I'm still striving for that today. So I got very purposeful on my database. And right now, we have a growing business. Our team, we're in the top 5 of our office in New York City. And I know that the majority of it is because we are very purposeful with how we work our database. So that's what we're going to go over today. All right. So since I like to be interactive, does anybody want to share what is a database? Oops. Now I'm going ahead. Anyone? I can't see you or I'd start calling on all of you.
People you know, Erin. It's more than a list of people you know and speak to on a regular basis.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. And I also think of the database, it's the people that you speak to on a regular basis. It's also the people that you want to get into a better relationship with. But it's also, for me, it's my memory because, I don't know if you remember what you ate on Sunday for lunch. I sure don't. I don't even think I remember what I ate 2 days ago for lunch. So having a place that you can put all of your notes so that you can remember the little things in order to build relationships even deeper, that to me is what the database is, because I don't want any pressure to any more than I have to, because I probably won't. All right, so how do you build a database? I just want to ask all of you to throw any limiting beliefs just throw them aside and let's just work on all possibilities today. So building a database, I actually built it mostly on cold calling to start. I wanted to hit these numbers that I saw in the MREA. I wanted to build something that I saw other people were using consistently to have business. So I was like, all right, I feel like the best way to get there is just hop on a dialer and start cold calling. So the cold calling that I did was around new listings. And that's important. I'll get into that later with tagging, but it's important because you're offering them value. I wasn't just cold calling. And I want you to know that some people do this and it's their style and they make a killing off of it, not my style. I wasn't just calling in saying, hey, it's a great market. Do you want to sell? Hey, it's a great market. Do you want to sell? Right? Just not my style. So I would offer them value of, hi, my name is Erin Wheelock from the Wheelock team at Keller Williams Real Estate. And we just listed a new property in your neighborhood. And I always love to give the neighbors first choice to pick their neighbor who you know that should be moving into your neighborhood, right? So I'm at least offering them value. I'm keeping them posted on something that's coming to the market before it's actually on the market, because we would do these calls on the week when we were getting photos, etc. So cold calling doesn't have to be scary. For me, it was a great way to get to know the neighbors, build my database, and offer value to people. Second is open houses. I know that England may not do as many open houses. However, I highly suggest you change that because open houses are my bread and butter. Can't do them right now, but that's okay. They'll be back very soon. So open houses for me, the very first thing that you have to do is you have to get something that you can use either on your phone or on a pad that is to log people in. So when you are logging people in, it's important that you're the one doing it. I don't know if any of you have held an open house, right? You end up putting some piece of paper out on a countertop with a pen. People come in, you're like, great, please sign in. They don't give you their number, they don't give you their email, or they write down Hotmail when it's really Gmail. But when you ask them like, hey, great, I just want to register you for the open house, before you go inside, can I get your name, last name? What's the best email for me to follow up with you? Great. What's the best phone number for me to follow up with you at? And then I always suggest, which is, do you currently rent or do you currently own? Why? Because if they own, great. Do you need to sell in order to buy your next property? Right? Everything that you do, it's good to be purposeful so that you can go one further deep in terms of lead gen. And then you'll also know that this is somebody that you need to be in touch with afterwards about potentially selling their home if they're not already in contract. The other thing, I would have to assume that you have this there, the nosy neighbor. Nosy neighbors are my favorite people ever. Nosy neighbor for me is someone that's, oh no, I heard that this is on the market. I saw it was an open house. I just wanted to come by. Oh no, I don't want to give you my information, right? They just want to take a look. But the truth is, most of the time, if you have a neighbor coming to take a look, it's because they want to understand the value of their home, or they might actually know someone that's looking. So the nosy neighbors are the best, but they don't want to give you information. So what I've done instead is I have a raffle. It is amazing what people will give you the second you're like, ooh, something free can be won. So I have these little sheets, or I'll give you an example, right? Nosy neighbor comes, no, I don't want to give you any information. No problem. Let's go inside. So they're seeing the house. By the way, we have a raffle for an Amazon gift card. Please fill out this little form. So little form, and it just asks them for their name, their phone number, their email, their address, and then just for feedback on the property. And once they fill it out completely, they put it in there. And after they leave, I'll make a note on the back. Everybody, this is probably not fair. I don't care. Everybody that doesn't have an agent wins. So I want to talk to everybody that came in direct, every nosy neighbor, every potential buyer. Those are the people that win. It's a very small investment for this. But the best part is now all of these people are going into the database, right? And again, people that don't want to give you anything, they literally give you all the information. You have their address, their phone number, their email. And then what I'm going to do afterwards is I'm going to call them. Oh my gosh, congratulations, you won our raffle. By the way, I'm going to be next to your building tomorrow at whatever time. Can I just drop it off? Right? And they're like, oh my gosh, yeah, no, that's great. Or I'll throw in some joke like, I don't really trust the post office. So then I'll get to go there. And when I'm there, I don't just leave it, because we have a lot of vertical buildings, right? So I don't just leave it with the door. No, I go up, and then when I'm there, I give it to them and I say, hey, since I'm here, when's the last time that you had a home evaluation? And it doesn't matter if they're like, oh, well, we're actually not thinking about selling. No worries. I'm just offering it's a free service if you want. Now you get to, of course, do your research beforehand so you know what product you're walking into. But when you're there, now you get to learn more, like, okay, needs renovation. It doesn't need renovation. It's, you can confirm how large the unit is, what the view is, just with, the work that you did previously. But then when you're in there, you're saying like, oh yeah, this is such a great apartment. Have you ever thought about wanting more space? Is there ever a price I should just keep my eyes and ears open for you so that I can help you hit your goals? If you were going to move, where would you move to? Gosh, are you sick of these winters too? Have you ever thought about moving to Florida? Do you want more rain in your life? London's great. No, but it's a great way to ask them questions, learn about it, and now you're going to put that person into your database as well, and you're going to tag them appropriately, which we'll go over. So open houses are gold. Your phone. Guys, there's so many contacts in your phone. And I know personally that me, I was like, I'm not going to call through my phone. These people know me. They love me. They'll, of course, send me business. Not true. If you're not actually talking to them about real estate, they're not going to send you the business. And check this chat. And again, guys, if you have questions, please let me know. Oops. Okay. One other thing that I love to do with people that are contacts in your sphere, I did this last night. It was St. Patrick's Day, but I ended up getting a bottle of champagne. We ended up going to a friend's place afterwards. And I was like, all right, you guys, I'd love to tax deduct this bottle. So who do you guys know that's looking to buy, sell, or invest in real estate? Or if not, who should I know? I actually got a lead last night. I don't always get one, but it's kind of a nice way to have fun with it. Make sure that you're staying top of mind with your friends, because the truth is, you don't sit around all day thinking like, oh my gosh, my friend Adam, who does my hair, who needs a haircut today? Who can I send his way, right? I don't think about that. But if I stay top of mind, I'm always happy to refer them out. So think about that with your friends in your sphere. Social media. Social media is such a phenomenal tool. I know I don't use it to the extent that some of you do. But as a tool, the great thing is you're actually seeing what's happening in people's lives. I highly suggest every time you get a client, you add them on Facebook, add them on Instagram, add them on LinkedIn, because how powerful that all you have to do, and I suggest time blocking it, right? Don't let social media take over your life, but time block some time in the day to look at social media. You just flip through and it's so-and-so's getting is pregnant. So-and-so just got engaged. It's such a great tool to use to learn what's happening in someone's life. Now you have an excuse to call them, right? Like, oh my gosh, I just saw on Facebook that you just got engaged. This is so exciting. Congratulations. If you guys want to move in together and need some help, please let me know, right? So using that social media to add notes to your database is huge. You can also use social media to make contacts, get their information, and add them into your database. I do know that there's a way to, from the back end, pull everybody off of Facebook and put them into your database. Something to look into if you're trying to grow. But again, I really suggest that before putting someone into your database, you have a conversation with them. They understand that they're going into your database. And then agency meet. There's a couple of reasons. We right now are kind of turning into a seller's market. I know that there are some agents that I love to do deals with. There's some agents that just rock out certain neighborhoods. I want those people in my database. I want to tag them appropriately to the neighborhood so that when I have something new coming up, the people that love to work with me, I let them know instantly, right? And because you're tagging them, you can pull them so much quicker and you can get them information. All right. Oh, and then of course, downline, guys, right? That's always a positive, growth share and profit share. Okay, before I move on, do we have any questions about building the database?
No, can I just say also, I always like to chime in, sorry. For the database too, you know, obviously it's great for those agents, and it's amazing that you can go into a listing presentation and say, I have a database of agents that I know do business, that trust me and respect me, of course, and that's fantastic. Then the other thing is you and I teach on is referrals, right? Is you actually should be marketing to your realtors, and you want to make sure they're tagged separately, but you also want to have that relationship with them as well, both locally or in your right outside of your markets, and then of course all around the world as well. So anyway, I just think there's so much opportunity there on both sides. And I think you can really use that to sell yourself. And Erin, you do it at such a great job. And we always talk about 1 + 1 = 8. And you really do that at such a high level. So anyway, just wanted to chime in.
No, thank you. I love it. Thank you so much for free.
Can I ask a couple of questions? You talked, just so I understand, you talked about these people coming to the open house that were a little bit difficult, the nosy neighbor people, and then you put them in the Amazon draw. Did I understand you correctly? Yeah. Do you kind of, everyone that's the nosy neighbor and is a little bit tough, do they all win an Amazon voucher? So you get an exchange around to them? Gotcha, right. Fine.
Yeah, everyone that doesn't have an agent wins a gift card.
Fine.
And honestly, it can be as little as like $10, and they'll probably still give you all of their information.
Lovely.
Isn't that so smart? It's so like clever. You're like, no problem. You don't want to give me your information for this. How about this? Awesome.
And a second question for you, what would you say if you had to pick one of these? What would you say is the most effective way for you to grow your database?
Okay, I'm not going to give you the answer you want, because I'm going to give you two answers. If you want to build it quickly, cold calling. I think if you want to build quality open houses, just because they really are coming with a purpose, and you can be extremely purposeful, and I feel like you can get in front of more people in less contacts made. But cold calling by far is the quickest way to do it.
And can I also say, so if you're going to cold call, right, you should be doing it around your farm in the area that you choose to work, because you're building relationship with people, right? So they may not be ready to sell right away, like Erin's talking about. At the open house, they actually have interest in some house. It's like they came to your car lot. That's how I used to think of it. But when you're going out, at least you're building that relationship in the neighborhood. And if you're going to do that cold calling, don't you agree, Erin, it'll be more effective if they're asking for referrals, if they're coming from contribution, and really making sure that they have a true message? Because that would be really creepy to just call around and like to everyone and say, do you want to sell your house today? Right?
No, well, that's why I said, right? Like you have to come from value. So the cold calling that I did was about a new listing, right? So I am asking them who they know, pick your neighbor, who do you know that would love this neighborhood as much as you and I do? So it is, it's absolutely calling, it's purposeful. It's in an area that I want to be working in. It's in an area that I'm already working in. And that for me is a way to build your pipeline as well. Cause there were many times when I would call people and they would be like, oh, well, what is that, home? Oh, too bad. How much is that going for? $2 million. Really? That's the price that they're going for now? Absolutely. Sounds like you might need a free home evaluation. Are you free tomorrow at 5 or 6 o'clock? I think it's just a great way to quickly build a database if you are offering value and asking questions.
Yeah, I remember. So I met Erin, and same with Ali as well, and Josh and Michael in France at the family reunion. And you spoke at that luxury conference, and you actually talked about a client that you met cold calling. And it took a while before you earned his business, and he had other agents that he was working with, but you were showing your value. You really became an expert on his building in the neighborhood, on the stats. And so you didn't just give a little bit of value on your property. You actually showed him that you were the market expert, right?
Yes. Sorry, I just had to move you. It's so weird not talking to faces.
Oh, sorry about that. I just think it's important to know that it's just, you're not just giving one tidbit. You literally gave him like true value, because the value isn't just knowing what your next door neighbor sounds like. You showed him what you were and what you could provide as a service provider, right? That fiduciary, that trusted professional. I don't know. I just think that was really important to bring that up. And if you could share that a little more.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, excuse me, there's people that have been in the database for years, especially because, when I built the database, we were in a bigger seller's market. We've been coming down since then. I have tons of people in the database that it's like, I'm going to keep my eyes on the price for you. So there are people that I'm texting them or emailing them, calling them every single month with what is happening in their immediate area. X amount of units have come on, X amount of units have gone into contract, because I want to be that professional for them, so that when the time comes that the market is reaching their goals, it's not even a question. They're not even going to talk to anybody else because I've been here for them through the whole time. And in that same note, and we will get to this a little bit further down the road when it comes to tagging, that's also why, being that market expert and tagging them properly is so important, because if I find that there is an extreme amount of demand for 2-bed, 2-baths in Chelsea, because, supply is super low, pending is really high, I'm just going to pull up that tag of all 2-bed, 2-bath people in Chelsea, and I'm going to start calling them like, hey, just so you know, demand is high, supply is low. Is it time for us to meet about getting on the market? So you're really making sure you're building that trust throughout.
I think it's so different. Yeah. We think of our database as somewhere that we can go to get business. And I just think it's neat how you really use it to consistently keep track of people that you want to be in this relationship with, right? This is a way for you to actually do a better job for them. I just think that's a neat perspective. So you do such a great job with that.
Thanks. Yeah, all about relationships, right? What a fun business we get to be in. Any other questions before I move on?
Yeah, Joe had a question, Erin, about it's in the chat. Let's see, where do the numbers come from if they're not already in the database? So you're cold calling the neighbors. How do you get hold of them?
Yeah, great question. So we probably have some tools you may not have. White Pages is a great tool. I love whitepages.com. I actually pay for their premium so that I can look up addresses and get numbers of owners. We also have something here called Cole Realty Resource, and that is a service where they just supply numbers. You, of course, pay for it. I'm not sure what they have in the UK, but I'm sure there's some source where you can just call and pay for numbers.
Old school door knocking, Erin. That's what they do in the UK. Old school door knocking.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I remember agents when I first started would literally take a phone book out, like a paper phone book, and kind of flip through in their city or hire someone that was doing business with them and actually make those phone calls. And if you know where the prefix is, I don't know about you, but in our area, it's like if there's a 258 number, that's my small town of Orinda. So if I chose those, that would be very tricky, but you certainly could, right? If you're creative.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Were there any other questions? We're good? All right. So now what do you do with your database, right? You got to touch it. If you just put people in this database and you do nothing else, there's no point. Don't even build it. But the point of a relationship is so that you can systematically touch the database often enough and in the right ways. And hopefully, we'll get into how you can leverage some of that. Okay, so how are we touching our database? So I do quarterly touches. So I wrote this down, Patrice would be very happy. So DTD2, do the daily 2. So it's 2 letters that you call every week. So now people that are on my quarterly touches, I'll tag them by the first letter of their last name so that I can easily pull them and call them. So I do 2 letters a week. However, these quarterly touches are going to be people that I do not have another plan for. So these are simply people in the database. Every quarter I'll call them. And I mean, now I called beautiful woman, Roberta. I called her yesterday and she just texted me back, Karen, I'm so sorry I'm busy, but I don't know anybody. I will certainly keep you in mind, right? Like I've been calling some of these people for years. They know who I am. I make sure that they save my number in their phone. But again, these are going to be the people that may not have an immediate need for you, but you are always staying in touch with them so that you can be top of mind. I get this question and I sometimes forget to talk about it, but the quarterly touches are also people that I'll just leave a voicemail for. They're not someone I'm going to, I tried them in the morning. Let me try them in the afternoon. Let me try them at night again, because again, they're getting 4 calls from me a year. They're not always going to answer. And to be honest, I'm sure sometimes they see my name. They know what I'm, calling them about. And they don't have any needs, so they'll just send me to voicemail. So these are people also that I would leave voicemails for. Handwritten note cards, super simple. I have one that I'm filling out right now. Brian Buffini, he is a master at database. He has a whole coaching program all around working your database. But if you want to know what to put on note cards, just Google Brian Buffini, or even just Buffini, and then thank you cards or note cards. He has all of these great scripts and templates that you can use on your note cards. But I just got this from Vistaprint. It was super inexpensive, and I got envelopes for it as well. I did this instead of a post. I could put in a business card, but it's so simple. The first time I call someone, I would go straight to a note card afterwards. You know, hey, thank you so much for taking my call. Here's my business card in case you know of anybody that I should be in touch with, blah, blah, blah. And I send it out to them. Then, oh, and I also am very big. I'll never forget, there was a woman that I called. It was a cold call. She was not happy I called. She reamed me out. I was like, all right, take you off the list, no problem. I sent her an apology card. I was like, I just want you to know I took you off the database. I'm sorry that I, bothered you. I wish you all the best, whatever. She ended up calling me. She found me online because my card was in there. She ended up calling me, and I've gotten like 3 referrals from her. I listed her place. She was like, I'm so sorry. I was so rude. I was having a bad day. So the power of the note card, right? So I'll send an apology or my information. If I send them my business card, what I'm going to do then is a week later, I'll call them. What I know is once you talk to somebody about real estate, right, they weren't thinking about real estate 99% of the time before you call them. But once you do call them and you talk to them about real estate, they start to think about it a bit more. So then the week after I send out the note card, I have it in my database as a task for me to call them. And I just say like, hey, it's Erin, I just wanted to make sure the post office was still working. Did you get my card in the mail? Ha ha ha. And then I'll, just say like, oh, and by the way, have you thought of anybody in this last week? No problem. Or yes, great. Can you please put us in I'll always ask them now for like a 3-way email or a 3-way text, something, so that they feel comfortable. They're not just giving you their information, but they're actually starting that relationship for you and someone else. But power of the note card. Also, this is another thing that social media is great for, learning birthdays. If you haven't been able to get their birthday, send them a note card for their birthday, send them a little video message for their birthday. That's great. Or, of course, handwritten note cards for something else, an anniversary, condolences, whatever happens, note cards or cards in general are great. Then newsletters. I send out a newsletter every other week. I'll tell you what I do in the newsletter because I'm having some pretty good success with this. So I start my newsletter with, holding up my phone, and I do a little video. And I'm just like, hey guys, it's Erin Wheelock, your favorite real estate professional in New York City. Here's what's in today's newsletter. And I'll just give a brief rundown of what's in the newsletter. Even if there is maybe, I don't know, like 4 things, maybe I'll just say 2 of them. It really depends on what I'm remembering, to be honest with you, because it's just something super quick that I do. But I do it, and what I found is, 1, people like it because they'll just hit play and then they don't have to go through it if they don't want to. Second, it's nice. We actually put it on YouTube, so it's another way to try to get some SEO, try to get some leads, right? And I'm always embedding Erin Wheelock, your favorite real estate professional in New York City, and having more videos of content out there is not a bad thing. Then in the newsletter, we have market updates. I might feature one of our listings, but usually what we'll do is we'll actually feature a listing of an agent that's somewhere else. What I found is it's great for building your referral network, but for 2 reasons. 1, because you're strengthening a relationship with an agent somewhere else. And second, now my database sees me as a global agent, which they didn't before. But that's how Where to Wheelock started, was because I was like, COVID had just started. I was like, I'd rather be anywhere but my 700 square foot apartment in the middle of New York City where everything is shut down. And so I was like, I'll feature some property. It was in the south of France. And I was like, wouldn't you also rather be anywhere but where you are right now? And so I put that in there, and I actually had a client call me, and he was like, Erin, I actually want to buy in the south of France. How do you buy there? So that's Where to Wheelock started. But the point is, if you're putting this in a newsletter, people are going to start seeing that they can actually send you business, or you are the person to go to put them in touch with an agent somewhere else. And that is so powerful, because that is, referrals are still money. It can be really big money, and it can be consistent money. So that's great for a newsletter as well. And again, that's every other week. Rodolphe from Paris, actually, what he does is if somebody unsubscribes from the newsletter, he'll call them and ask them why. I think that's brilliant. I've not implemented that yet. Smart plans. I know that you use your own database there in the UK. However, smart plans for us are something that's automatic that you can leverage to consistently touch someone. For instance, we have smart plans for, if we do an online ad. Anybody that comes from an online ad, we're doing an initial call, but then we're putting them on a smart plan. These smart plans, at least for that, it's 16 steps, and it includes text messages and emails. And I think once or twice it will set a task for us to call them, but it just goes out automatically and it fills in their name. We will put in like a group of listings or something in there. So they're just getting it automatically, right? So this person is being touched 16 times and I've had to make 1 call, maybe 2 calls. So smart plans are brilliant for that. Also for the newsletters, I use MailChimp, but I have everybody tagged for newsletter. So I will take all of the people that are tagged as a newsletter and then upload them and make sure that I'm refreshing that. Events. I just love events. I can't wait until we can get back to the events. Events are a fantastic way to touch the database and to grow the database. Because what I'll do, we used to have them at least like 3 a year before we go to the event. Obviously, we have to invite people, but I'm always inviting people with expectations. So we're calling them, hey, we have this event going or this event coming up. It's on this day, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to send you an invite. Now, that invite is going to send them to a Google form. And the first thing they ask is their name. But the second question on there is, who are you bringing that I should meet? It's not, are you bringing someone? It's not how many people are coming with you. It is, who are you bringing that I should meet? So I'm already setting up the expectation that they should be bringing someone that I should meet. I've had so many people bring people that turned into future clients, and it's because of setting that expectation. Then when I'm at the event, like in the summer, we'll do a rooftop, but I'm not renting out the whole rooftop. I'm going to rent out half of the rooftop. Why? Because, we'll get like big balloons, we'll do signs, we'll do a bunch of stuff. And we do that because I want other people there to see what I'm doing. And I want them to come over and ask like, oh my gosh, what is this, open bar, free food thing happening over here, right? So that's another form of lead generation. Also, everyone, when they're there, I also have raffles and I get really good items from local stores, right? I tell them like, hey, I'm inviting 50 of my top referring clients to an event, and I would love to offer them some gifts that refer you business. This is amazing. And if I can't get something like 50 items to put in a gift basket or in a little gift bag, for them to take with them, I will try to get something big that we can use in a raffle. And again, that's where I'm getting all of their information. So anybody, if we allow anybody in, or if they bring someone, I want everybody's information. So we'll actually have somebody go around to each person and fill it out, right? Again, we're not having them go fill it out. They might not do it. We'll go around to each person. Great, your name, your email, especially if they're not in the database. If they are, then we already have their information. So events are fantastic. My A+ gifts.
Oh, can I just stop you on the events thing too?
Yeah.
I just want to say, because I think this is so important. Again, we're talking about you have your database and you do have your super events that you can with your 50 top people. And that's great that they're coming in. You can also do all different kind of events, and it's a reason to touch people. So you guys, you can do 8 touches around an event. You do your email invite, you do your text invite, you're putting it on social media, you're calling them and saying, we hope that you came, right? You're calling them after to say, I'm sorry that I missed you, or thank you for coming. Is there anybody, you can ask for a referral at that time, right? So you can actually, I was always nervous to call people. So I would have events just because I wanted a reason to call somebody. So I know you guys do this at a really high level, Erin, and I just think that's an easy way to have a touch when you're like, what do I say to people? Having an event is a perfect opportunity to be able to come from contribution, to be able to give. And it makes it a lot more natural to ask for that referral, don't you think?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And that's why we're asking them, right? Like, who are you going to bring? Who do you know? Yeah, definitely. And Patrice is a rock star at events. So if you ever want ideas, she's a good one to talk to. So the A+ gifts, I love these. It's amazing how even a small little gift, people are just so excited about. So I am very lucky. I have some friends that are very high up in the hospitality world. And I have no problem asking my friends for advice, just ask Patrice. So I spoke to them about, like, what do we want to do for gifts? And Bob, one of my friends, he told me this story. They opened this hotel down in Cabo, and right on the water, and these huge executives would come and spend like $40,000 a night on these hotel suites. I love it. One day. And what he said was they, they kept trying to figure out, okay, what can we do? What can we give to these people around 4 o'clock? Because they would always do some sort of a gift that will, like, what do you give somebody that's spending $40,000 a night? And what they found was they ended up giving like 2 little coronitas and guac and chips every day at 4 o'clock. And he said that they have never gotten more handwritten thank you letters than from those executives that stayed in those suites about that. And just how wonderful it was to have something that they could just, it was going to be there every day, 4 o'clock. And then they got it and they could just sit and relax. And what he was really telling me through that was that it's just these small little things. The small little things are what people of that caliber, and quite frankly, people of every caliber, really appreciate. So as an example, I have hopefully we'll be listening soon because the market's coming, but man, he has a triplex penthouse on Park Avenue, owns the roof, it overlooks the park. Oh my God. So I do pies every year for Thanksgiving, pumpkin pies. And I never wanted to call him and offer him one because I'm like, this man doesn't need a pie from me. But I finally did. This last November was my second year. But the first year I called him and I offered him a pie, and he went dead silent on the phone. I was like, Erin, no one's ever offered me a pie before. Like, I would love this. Like, oh my gosh. So guys, little things. I think it's about $16. I partner with someone from New Jersey. She makes all of these pies homemade. And it's such a great touch. I've gotten multiple listings from these pies. And then what we do to try to stand out a little bit more is we know that every opportunity to get something is an opportunity to show them how we can market ourselves. And by that, I mean, if we can market ourselves this way for a pie, imagine what we can do for your listing. So we actually had this video made where we were, just saying how grateful we were for them. And then we had it put into a QR code. We put these QR codes on the pie. So when you open up the pie lid, the QR code was there and they could just scan it. We got so many compliments from people on this. And again, like, we've even been able to reconnect with people. We listed a property in Central Park South overlooking the park from a pie. And I have to tell you, in our ALC meeting, someone was like, this is New York. We don't do things like give pies. I was like, yes, we do. So don't think it doesn't work there. It works everywhere. Another gift, actually our newest gift. Thank you, Jen. I had Jen bring me one. We are giving out umbrellas. So I'm going to show you the umbrella. I don't believe in bad luck. I only believe in good luck. Going back to my friends that guide me, we're going to make a little video today, and it's going to say something along the lines of, like, we're just getting you ready for the for your April showers or sale season, something like that. It'll be more clever than that. But what I find is people don't want to promote you. Funny, right? I don't know about you. I don't want to wear something covered in logos. If you're going to put a logo on me, pay me to wear it around. I don't know. But what they do like are things that are really pretty. And maybe in London, this would work as well. We get these from a company called 4 Imprints. It's the number 4 and then imprint you. 4 Imprint you. I'll tell you. But this is a really great umbrella. It also is around $16. It folds inside out. So it looks really cool. And it just has a little logo. That's it. And yeah, I think these were $16 or $17 a piece. But right from the outside, it's just sleek and black. It's beautiful. I want people to come up to them and be like, oh my gosh, where did you get that really cool umbrella that has these simple stripes on the inside? And then that client or customer is going to say, my real estate professional got this for me. You should probably be in touch with them. And again, with this, we're going to do a little thing. We're going to put a little QR code on it, and we're going to go hand deliver these to everyone. Soap is something else that we've done. We didn't put a QR code with that. But either way, gifts are just so important. People love them. They don't have to be expensive, but it's a way to literally give somebody something that they'll appreciate, they'll use. And again, the goal, like the umbrella, is to give them something that they will use so that people are asking them like, oh my gosh, where did you get that great umbrella? Where did you get that great pie? Maybe not, but we've done robes. Robes are fantastic. And so that you can tax deduct it, at least here. What we'll do is in the back collar, we'll put our information because we have to put our information on it for marketing purposes. But who doesn't love a snuggly rose as a closing gift? Snuggly robe as a closing gift. There we go. All right. Any questions, guys, before we move on?
Yeah, Michael's got one.
Erin, how many of those umbrellas are you giving out? I know, is it like top 50 you're giving them out to?
Well, we bought 150 because we will also now use them, like if we're taking clients out. I think our list is around 80 that will call and, you know, let them know that we have something for them. But it'll probably be closer to 50 that we actually give them to because some people just aren't here.
Okay, thank you.
Erin, I've got 2 questions about the newsletter. First off, can we see your newsletter? Is there any way you could share, if you could share it with me and then I'll get it across to the crowd here? Is that possible?
Yeah, actually.
Have you got
Let me just, I wonder if it'll come up. Yes, but I can definitely do that.
Fab. And then second question, you know how you said about you've got your video kind of intro, hi, it's Erin, your favorite real estate professional. Have you always done that, or have you added that, and have you seen a difference in the open rate and the response rate?
Yes. So I didn't always do that. I started doing it a little bit after COVID. And yeah, I definitely saw a better response. I also saw that people were engaging more. And I think it's maybe because those people that weren't going to read anything were like, oh, okay, great. I just play it and then I'll respond like, thanks. Sounds cool. So I've definitely gotten more engagement from it.
I thought that might be the case, but I just wanted to check if you've always done it or whether you did a little bit of A/B testing. So cool.
Yeah. And I got to tell you, one thing that I am going to continue to work on more is the level of what I'm doing, because I'm a very big believer in just get it done. If you can, just do it, just get it done. But I think I probably need to also start maybe making sure, I don't know, at least have makeup on when I do these. I'll learn. Just trying to be authentic here. Okay, well, I will definitely bring us back to the newsletter in 1 second. Oh, now I think we have an answer.
By the way, I've gotten her newsletter. She looks amazing. Like you look like a professional photographer travels around. She's got great pictures in there, and you really are selling that lifestyle. So you are natural, which is of course great because you're naturally beautiful, but you also do have some really great shots, right? You've hired the right photographer. You're giving that image that's in there. Maybe on your video, you're very natural, but you have really beautiful pictures that show you as a professional, right? You're strategic about that.
Well,
for sure.
I appreciate that. Why can't I find, oh, here. Sorry. So like, look at how, thank you. So this will take them straight to the YouTube page. And then that's nice too, because I can see how many people are actually watching it. I don't know if you can hear that. Probably not.
So this is on your YouTube page, Erin, yeah?
Yeah, so we just upload it to the YouTube page. 35 seconds. I don't even think I brushed my hair, as you can tell. So, you know, you can do it, but I didn't put on eye makeup. But look at 20 views. So people are opening it and looking at it, which is great. And if somebody was more talented than myself, of like using keywords, that will probably get you even more views. Then I just had the weekly market update. This is a yoga retreat. And then this is a fantastic home in Paris. Who wouldn't love to live there or go live there? That's it. It's really just a way to keep in touch. And one of the things that I never thought would happen, but I have very dear clients that believe I'm doing this just for them. Like they'll respond. They're like, Erin, you know I can't afford that in Paris. Why would you send this to me? Like, wow, thanks for sending me this. I'm going there now. It's very cute. I love it. But yeah, so that's the newsletter.
Thanks. So on that then, do you keep it as simple as possible then? Little text, a lot of visual, a lot of kind of...
Yeah. Well, and you know what? I should actually say this every time. So here's my example and what I believe is the purpose of newsletters. Like, by show of hands, how many of you receive emails from Amazon? Maybe like 15 a day from Amazon, straight into the junk. How many of you open emails from Amazon? I only have ever opened one, maybe Black Friday. How many of you still buy from Amazon every single day? Right? So it's not necessarily about people opening the emails. It's just about them seeing that you are there consistently. So that to me is like the purpose of newsletters. If they open it, great. If they respond, even better. I want to have a call to action in there. And something that I used to do, and I actually should get back to this in the video, is like, who do you know that's going through a life event? Who do you know that's having a baby? Who do you know that might be going through a divorce and tough time in their life? Something like that is a smart thing that I need to get back to doing.
Erin, can I share something? Because I just started doing a newsletter just this summer.
Yeah.
I got one from Michael actually last February, and I started it a little after that. And then I just became consistent this summer. And yesterday we were doing our Tuesday, we did our lead generation calls. And I apologized to someone who I used to do lead generation calls before COVID. I hosted an event we call all the time, and I have really been lacking in this last year. So I apologized to him and said, I'm so sorry that I haven't talked with you in so long. He goes, oh yeah, but I get your newsletter all the time. He really thought like that counted actually as a contact because I'm apologizing that I'm not in touch. And he's like, oh yeah, but you're always sending me emails. Like, it's almost like he really thought it was, me reaching out to him. So it is really amazing how they are grateful for that. And they do feel touched by it, right? I mean, some people might unsubscribe, but like you said, you call them and find out what that is. It's a reason for a contact, if nothing more, and a good education.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that.
Can I ask you something, Erin?
Yeah.
Joe.
Please do.
You mentioned that you use MailChimp for your
Mm-hmm.
mail outs. We currently have Nurture, of which is our database, which it sort of sends out automatically things as and when, which I guess you've got something similar or the same as. What would you suggest with regards to how do you manage with MailChimp to I guess get everything out at the right periods of time, and how is it all tagging and a tagging system?
Do you mean in terms of making sure it goes out every other week? Yeah.
So is it automated or do you do it? I've never used MailChimp, so I don't actually know what it is. But
Got it.
I'm just a little bit confused as to the best way to manage the database in order to be sure that you're calling the people, you're mailing the people, you're doing all the things that you need to keep in touch at the right time without it bypassing you.
Yeah. So I use a task system, which I can show you. But then also for the newsletter, it's in the calendar every other Friday to have it built. And we send it out on Sundays. I'm a big believer in just get it done. It doesn't have to necessarily be at the same time every 2 weeks. If it can be, that's great. But we just make sure that we get it out Sunday afternoons or evenings if I'm behind. But everything else, actually here, I'll just show you that right now because it's super simple. I was just in my task list. So this, I know you don't use command, that's okay. But this is my task list. So I know, like Richard Turner, I need to call him towards the end of the day. Barbara, I need to try her in the afternoon. Tammy, we need to get photos of her listing. Raul, I need to touch base. This is a 6-month follow-up. Sam, I need to text or call him to me. So I just have something set up with all of them. Like Ann Kuster here, she's one of our sellers. So we have a smart plan that every week reminds me that I have to be in touch with her. Right. And I'll usually leave it here if I wasn't able to get a hold of them, because I really like to front load my week. I'm very aware that towards the end of the week, my schedule gets a little kerfuffled. So I will always try to front load of the week, and then I just kind of play catch up with all these people that I haven't gotten in touch with along the way.
Erin, so you're
Does that
setting
help
this
though,
up.
Joe? Yeah. Yeah.
And after a phone call, you set another task for yourself, right? So you have some automated systems, and then you actually have created this before. So after the last time you spoke with that person, you gave yourself a task list. Is that correct?
Yeah. So, and this again, these are going to be the people that are not my quarterly list. So I actually have a purpose to be contacting these people. Because if I don't have a purpose, then they're just going to be my quarterly call list. And then I'm just going to start pulling them up by the last letter or the first letter of their last name. Does that answer your question though, Joe?
Yes, thank you. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely.
And Erin, I just want to say also, like, this took you a while to get to this point, right? On day one, you were building up so that now you have more tasks every day because you've created them for yourselves with the smart plans and everyone. So for these guys that are new, obviously it's going to look blank for a little while, but they could take a small group and say, here are my leads from X, Y, or Z. You could set up a little plan or some sort of a nurture system, which I'm sure they have in their database too, right? And that would pull those 10, 12, 15, 30 people. They would call those. And then after that conversation, they would set themselves a new task, right? To follow up to the next one, or it would fall on to the next quarter. It would call again. I just wanted to make sure everybody knows that part too.
Yeah, I wouldn't. Yes. So to be completely honest with you guys, you should never have a blank task list. Like if you have a blank task list, pick up your phone and call people. So yes, starting the task list, you might have a couple blank days because you haven't set a next task yet. But that should last you this long, right? You just got to get in contact with people. Yeah.
Does everybody understand how that works? Because that is so very critical. When you're making a phone call, it should be nice to speak with you. Who do you know that wants to buy or sell real estate? And the next thing, and this is what's going to happen next. I'm going to reach out to you on X day. And then Erin, you've built a business because you consistently follow up with those people, building that relationship, right?
Yeah, of course, right? That's why we have the quarterly touches if they don't really have or if they don't have an immediate need or something that you are really striving towards. The newsletters, right? That's why you have all of these touches so that you can continue to maintain that relationship. And I always find that, your goal is to either get a lead from them, find out who they know that you should be in touch with, or build the relationship. Because the truth is there's some people, even during COVID that I was reaching out to because I've already had conversations with them that they would eventually like to move out of the city. We're having, of course, care calls because it's COVID, but also like, hey, I remember in the past you brought up Florida. Is that still in the plans for you now? Is that something you want to do sooner than later because of the current situation? So building that relationship, putting in notes, and then making sure that you know when you're going to contact them next. That's really important. Systems. Awesome. Any other questions that touching database? I'm like such a child. I giggle when I say that. Okay. Okay. So
yeah,
how to categorize and tag. Right? How to categorize and tag your database. To me, you guys, I feel like this is all really important, but this is also extra important. And I will drop this link so that you have it immediately in the chat. Let me find that chat button. All right. I'm going to share because everyone needs this. So,
this is huge.
Okay. Where is it?
I've been doing this for 15 years. I'd never had proper tags until taking Erin's classes again and again and again. And now we are finally just tagging and finding layer after layer. It's fascinating what you do, Erin.
There you go. Thank you.
So everyone could see this document.
I
right?
did. Yeah, just put in the link so you will all have it. Okay, so here's how we tag people. First of all, always put in your source. Why? Because you need to know where you're spending your money. Everybody should have a source, right? So whenever in our pipeline, and I'm jumping ahead to the source, and this is just some of them, but wherever you are getting that client from, you need to tag so that you can double down. So like we were consistently seeing people from open houses closing. So, I mean, now I have at open houses, we have like stemware, right? We're serving mimosas. We do cupcakes if it's like a family friendly thing. We'll do charcuterie. We'll do other things if it's more of an adult apartment. We will go all out on our open houses because we track that source and we know that we make money from it. Online pay-per-click, organic, direct mailers. We were testing out that postcards for a while. Wasn't really getting a response. And by the way, when you're testing something, make sure to test it 3, even 6 months, depending upon what it is, because you do need to do it consistently. What we found was postcards, people were just throwing in the trash. And then when we changed it to actual mailers, so I paid someone to come into the office and he hand addresses envelopes, and then it's a typed letter on the inside about new listings, coming to an open house, things like that. We got a much higher response, and therefore I'm still going to pay for those because they're expensive. So track your source. Okay, that wasn't really a database, that was business, but it should be in the database that you're tracking it. Okay, so the tags. We are tagging people by their location, right? When I'm doing those cold calling, I'm tagging everybody by the location that they're in, by the size of their unit, first letter of their last name, only if they're going on the quarterly calls. If they want a monthly market report, rating of the client. These are the ratings of the clients. So A+ if they're doing 2 transactions or 3 referrals a year. They're an A if it's under 3, or if they're going to buy or sell within 1 to 3 months. So the A+ and the A-list are the group that I'm going to invite to events. A+ are the people that get all the gifts. And maybe some A people, like people that I just want to impress. B, if for 3 months, C, if they're cold leads, right? And we tag them by this so that we can really pull them, right? Like, let's say there's a day that yeah, right. But let's say that there's a day that we don't have a lot of tasks. And I'm going to pull up my C list. Who can I move into a B today? Who can I do some extra research on? Who can I pull up on my B list to move to an A, right? That's our goal constantly, just to move these people up so that we can close a transaction with them. All right, so these are just examples of this. The borough, right, because we have Manhattan, Brooklyn, Queens here, a building that they inquired about. This is so important for 2 reasons. So there's a couple of buildings downtown that I do a lot of work in. So one of them is an example, 69 Fifth Avenue, right? So that's why I have it here as an example. Then inquires about this is going to be put to the database. I don't care if they came to see it or not. Why? Because the next time I get a listing in this building, 2 things are going to happen. The next time I go on the listing appointment, I'm going to pull up how many people I have tagged by that address in my database. So when I go into my listing appointment, I'm Mr. Seller, I currently have 70 people that have inquired about a unit in this building in my database. The minute you sign the agreement, I'm going to go back and I'm going to call them to see if they have any interest in coming to your property. How does that sound? Right? It's so powerful for that. It's also powerful to go to these 70 people that you now have. Hey, I have a new listing that's coming up in the building you previously inquired about, 69 Fifth Avenue. You know, have you found your next property yet? No, great. Let me tell you about this one. Or if they have, no problem. Who do you know? I know that you seem to like this building, so who else do you know that might like it as well? Right? So this is just another reason to be touching these people and adding value. And I've got to tell you, it's a huge value when you're going on your listing appointments. If you don't work in a vertical market, tagging your neighborhood, right? Mr. Seller, I have X amount of people in this neighborhood that have inquired about a property. You know, the second you sign the agreement or list with me, right? I'm going to go back and give them all a call. How does that sound? It's just such a powerful tool to use, you guys.
I love, Erin, that you do this because it's so neat that you're bringing so many different values, right? So you're giving them opportunity, you're giving them updates on the market, you've got events for them. I just think it's really neat how you do this at such a high level and how you use your sellers to get new buyers and kind of how you leverage your buyers to get new sellers. So I think that's so cool.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Patrice. And there's a man, his name is Len Schwartz. He is in the Connecticut area. he is my inspiration. I think he's really the one that made me dig super deep into the database. He has a database of about 500 people. It's him and one buyer's agent, and he might also have his admin calling it. But they literally do over 50 million every year, and that's all they do is work the database. Like, that's it. He does pop buys. He just did a free pie for people that give him a referral for Pie Day. It's just, he's phenomenal. You should look him up and get on his newsletter because he does some really great things. And again, someone that works the database like a boss and does some good business off of it. So in addition to tagging people by the neighborhood or the building, I also suggest tagging them by the unit because you might have a unit that comes up that's similar to it or is even just a similar size, right? Immediately you want to call all of these people. If it's a 2-bed, 1-bed, whether they were a cold, I'm tagging them by the size of their unit. Or if they were a buyer that came to a property, I'm tagging them by the size of their unit. Because it's true, right? You are in a big seller's market and you have a buyer. You're like, oh, you're looking for, a 3-bed in this area? No problem. I have X amount of people in my database, right? When you're trying to get that buyer loyalty agreement. And then you can go call those people and you might just end up pulling some deals out. I've actually to do deals this way by going in the database to who I know that is thinking about selling and we couldn't find something on the market. Why not do some extra deals by thinking out of the box? And I most certainly have gotten loyalty out of buyers and out of sellers to sign an agreement by having this value for them. Of course, the monthly newsletter, I do ask people if they want to be on the newsletter or if they would like to receive the newsletter. I usually won't put them on it if not, because I want people to give me the email address that they actually look at. And if I'm going to tick them off by giving them a newsletter, that they stop actually getting my impertinent information, then I'd rather them just not be on the newsletter. But most people say yeah, or some people actually have given me a second email address for the newsletter. Okay. Also, if they're hot buyers, by hot buyers, I mean, it's someone that typically in a buyer's market, they're like, looking for I like to call it the purple unicorn. It's for you, Patrice. But, they're looking for this home that may or may not exist. And if it ever comes on the market, great. So I'll have a list of the hot buyers, pull them up like once every other week and just kind of go through their wants and needs and see if there's anything that I've seen come to market. Hot sellers, those are people that, I'll sell when the market reaches this point. Again, like I'll schedule a lead gen time to go through all of them, call them, hey, Mr. Seller, has anything changed from your past goals? No, or I'll just be looking to see where the prices are at for them. And then pipeline that are in the pipeline. I want to make sure that we're moving them along, right? I don't want somebody to sit in 6 months plus for the next 2 years. That's not the goal. The goal is to continue to move them up. So they are also people.
Hey, Erin, Can I just say something real quick too? Because you run your database at such a high level, and you are absolutely the standard that we're working to get to. On our team, we still have a lot of leads that come in via ads and some of those things. So for us, grading it out, and I just want to say that for people too, especially if they're new, you want to get to Erin's level where she's in deep relationship and these people want to be in our database. Do realize when you get started, it is for a little while, you might have a group of people that you're working on building up to that level. So you could have your bucket A and bucket B, or you might market to them differently. Right. So I always just like to throw that in there, Erin, if you don't mind, that, if you're just buying leads or if you just got some of these people, they may not quite be at that level. You just have to earn that right to get them there. Right.
Can you clarify for me what you mean by that level?
Well, how you say that everybody that's in your database wants to be in your database. You specifically went through and asked, and most of them you're in deep relationship with, right? And when we're buying or Facebook leads or something like that, some of those guys are not always excited to get that phone call. And so they get a different level of marketing and they're not getting all of those things. But you can also use your database to hit them over and over again, giving them value so that they can have that level of relationship too.
Yeah, no, I totally get what you're saying. Yeah, so like the people that we have from our Facebook, those are the people that we put on those smart plans. And through that, we do ask them, though, if they want to stay in communication, right? We'll follow that. Yeah. So, but don't ever feel like because you have leads that are coming in from other sources that you can't ask them if they want to be in a database, right? You're not asking them that. Or I shouldn't say that. I feel like you should be asking them if you can. And there are people that you just have to nurture longer. Absolutely. But yeah, I think don't ever feel like you can't ask them that, I guess, maybe.
No, I like that because, yeah, you do want to have people that are going to give you business, right? You're spending a lot of time, money, and resources, which you show with your sources, which is really so cool. So I love that. Sorry.
Yeah, no, that's good. And also this goes back to like, what are your sources, right? Like if for me, again, like open houses, database is such a huge source of business for me. So this is where I'm putting most of my money, right? But if you are running a business where you're getting tons of closed deals off of like Facebook ads or other types of ads, then you are probably going to have a bit of a different looking database because they're not going to be people that you were in extremely close relationship with. It's going to be those long-term nurtures and stuff. And I do think that you need a bit of both for sure, but don't feel like your database has to look like this. Mine looks like this because this is where I personally am getting the majority of business for the team. And I also feel as though you gotta like the way that you're getting your leads and stuff. So this for me works. I'm diving full deep, but don't feel like yours has to look like this if this isn't how you want to be in relationship with people.
And
or
like
where
I said,
you're getting
I
your
believe you
leads
have the
and stuff
gold
from.
standard. I love the way that you're doing it. I just feel like sometimes it takes a little longer to get to that level. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, I need more people in there. So I'm trying to get to your spot because I'm just really fascinated with how well you've done.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Patrice. Actually, any questions about the tagging while we have this up?
And you guys, we used to have a limiting belief on our team. I had an admin who, she made me simplify all my tags. And Erin, you've really opened my mind. And now we're just like, we're using lots of tags because you do need to be able to find them in so many different ways. So I don't know, does anyone else have that same limiting belief or any of those questions? Erin is such a master, you guys. Ask her lots of questions.
Thanks. I love that I'm seeing so many of you on this, though. Keep it, maybe, I don't know. I think you can copy it, I'm pretty sure, or at least print it for yourself or something.
I think tagging is super important, and there's so many people on here at different levels. So like myself, I'm 14 weeks in, I don't have a database, but in the database I've got 450 contacts. And these are people that I've either worked with over the last 25 years in the hospitality industry, friends and family. And then I've got some KW Grow stuff through instant valuations. I've done some basic stuff and structuring with tagging. And I think what I need to do is take a step back from that and think, how am I going to communicate with the database in a way that looks like I'm adding value? So the stuff, for example, from KW Grow and instant valuation from Facebook, it's like, half the time the emails are wrong or the telephone's wrong, and that's going to be a long burn, to nurture that relationship. And I like some of the stuff on the newsletter. It's like, well, add a bit of personality, bring a bit of you to the business, because as business owners, you've got that opportunity to do so. And I think your maturity with your tagging and your sourcing and your grading is fantastic. I think
Thank you.
Where I probably need to get to is out of the 420, it's all great having a big number there, but the reality, out of that 420, who are my top 50 advocates?
Mm-hmm.
So I think I need to take a step back, shake it, put it on the table, and then pinpoint now who are the top 50 that are going to live and breathe my world and support me in my business. Because it's definitely not the person who gave me an instant valuation with the wrong telephone number.
You know what? That is so true. I'm glad you brought that up too, because those top people, you also kind of teach them how to bring you referrals, right? Like we have a woman who, she's a past client. She used to be great at giving referrals. And then this year we didn't give her a pie because she stopped giving referrals this last year. And she called, she was like, Erin, are you doing the pie? Like, weren't you doing pies? Did you not do it this year? And I was like, oh my gosh, Bonnie, I'm sure you've given us a referral, so I don't know why your name wasn't on the list. And it was just, and I was like, I'll make sure that you're on there. We must have just missed you. And yeah. So, you know, you do kind of, people how to look out for you. And of course you look out for them as much as you can as well. But I love that you said that about finding that, like, the top 10% and just loving on them as much as you can.
Yeah, because I think there's a danger that you end up with a database with just a big number and not actually working. And you said at the top of the conversation, having a database with purpose. You know, otherwise, what's the point of having a database that's not working for you? I'd rather have 50 than 420.
But Anthony,
Absolutely.
Don't undervalue the instant valuation leads, though, because whilst they look trash on the surface, they've obviously got some sort of interest in their property. There's one that I got from last year who I've nurtured since, never spoken to them, and we sold the property. So you don't want to spend too much time on them, but don't think there's no value in any of them, because there will be.
Oh yeah, I mean, one of the people I phoned was, it was my dad's property. Please don't tell him I've got an instant valuation. But he will end up buying a house.
I love it. Yeah, and you know, that's Michael bring up a good point too, right? It is that you know, you want to be working these people so that you can have consistent business and whatnot. But if you're not bringing in new people, which I'm assuming is what these free evaluation tools are, if you're not bringing in those new people, then you don't necessarily have the future business. Yes, you definitely need some of that in there.
Which you can say, Erin, can you give, just so that there's no mistake in what Anthony's saying, Anthony, we should still be growing that database though. So the 450, don't stop at 450 and think, right, I need to just check the temperature of these 450. Get that to 1,000, get it to 50, get it to 2,000, keep growing, but on the way in, and then tag them as Erin's saying, are you an A plus, are you an A, are you a B, a C, are you a D, are you a bum feeder, what are you? We need to make sure that we're putting them in properly. So keep growing.
Yeah.
Is that sound advice, Erin? Just keep building them.
Yeah, I think, yes. Two things I feel like are going on here. Number one, absolutely, right? If you don't get purposeful and figure out who those top people are, then you're not utilizing and you're not getting the business out of them, right? So it is that like fine line between making sure that you are properly in relationship with people so that you can get business out of these people consistently and growing your database, adding more people. And when you are adding those people, who out of those new people deserve to be in your top 10? Or these people that they're just newsletter people, quarterly call people that, you know, you just put on some systematic things. You don't have to do too much work with them so that you can continue to grow, right? Because there's something about having, you know, 5,000 emails. However, if you aren't actually touching, learning, and growing with these people so that they like you, trust you, and want to give you business, and why are you growing? So it is that fine line. But yeah, absolutely.
I love that. And Erin, you're showing us literally how to know the difference, right? You spend a lot more time and money on the people that are giving you business. Then you have another level of people that, you know, are probably going to buy or sell, and you do a different thing with them. And then you have some people that are just kind of like, they get the smart plan, like you said, and they're getting your newsletter, and that's about all they're worthy of until they've moved up to that next level. Or you've earned the right and they've earned the right? It's the relationship. It's both sides. It's so cool how you do
absolutely.
this. You really do make it seem simple, not easy, right? That's the consistency.
I love it.
And all of this is around the agents that are going to win big in the next 10 years are those with data. But clearly, the better tagged and organized it is, the better. But don't get hung up on you need a fit and a fat database. The same, you know what I mean? Because if you're trying to corner your market, just make sure you're getting localized data. Like a couple of the guys, there was the Easter colouring thing that was done and all that stuff. So I got the names and numbers and addresses of 450 people on my farm area. So yes, at the minute, it looks like the data's not worth a great deal, but if that's nurtured properly, then gold will come out of it the other end.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like that. Yeah, I mean, and also, you know, we talk so much about Zillow, and again, I'm not sure if it's similar over there, but having the data is so important, but also relationships will win every time if you're in touch with people. So having data and using it. Yeah, I love this. We're all on the right track. All right, any other questions about this tagging sheet? I hope you all take it and use it. All right, well, that's pretty much it. Are there any other questions? I'm going to stop sharing so I can see you all in front of me. There we go. Getting an event calendar so you can create marketing pieces for such. So yeah, you know, I got to tell you, Tobias, that's something that I actually don't do. I think it's really good for people to do it if you don't know what to put in your newsletter. However, I find that I never send out newsletters on holidays or things like that because everybody else is. So I'll send something out like a couple of days later and, you know, say something about it, or a couple of days early and say something about it. Maybe like, it's not so much of a problem now, but President's Day, a few days before, like make sure you're across town if you need to be before the parade starts. Usually won't send something out like on that exact day. Although, you know, yesterday was St. Patrick's Day, I should have given everybody some telomere damaging, you know, that would have been a great gift.
So Erin, that was epic, actually. The content you shared there, and I'm going to say to everyone else, really, if you've got any questions, anything about database, ask it right now, because Erin is very much, as you can see, the absolute queen and goddess of database growth, nurture. Because you made it one thing. You've made this sound really quite easy, Erin, and we know it's not easy, but
it's so easy though. It really is. Like all you're doing is calling people, asking them questions, typing it into a database, and then tagging them by like an apartment size or home size or neighborhood. That's actually what I love about the database is you could just not be very smart and you can do this really, really well. And it's so easy. You don't have to remember anything, right? That's why you get to put all of your notes in there so you literally don't have to remember anything.
Do you have, so when I was looking at the database, you've got obviously your clients, your vendors, and then you've got suppliers that you're trying to nurture. Do you have a different campaign for suppliers or for vendors, or do you just literally do one newsletter, send it out?
Yeah, I do one newsletter and I send it out. Yeah, that's an interesting idea though. I know some people do specialize their newsletters for different groups, and that's fantastic. I'm not there yet, but yeah, so I just do my one.
Can I just ask, when you put your people into the database, is your database separate for you from your CRM? So are you doing both?
No, it's the same.
It's the same.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
Any other questions?
If we don't have any, hey Erin, I've had you on.
Hi, Chris.
Background. Great to see you. Thank you. Listen, thank you so much. I absolutely love this stuff, and I hear in the question coming in and the ahas going off in the back of our agent's mind is great. So thank you from me. If we've got no more questions, I think it's always good to just do some ahas and to go around and share what we're going to take. And hey, Patrice, by the way, I just saw you nod. Great to see you. What we're going to go and do, right? Because it's all well and good listening to Erin giving all this gold to us, but guys, what are we going to throw into our business right now? So if you've got your cameras off, throw them back on, and we'll just quickly go around. Maybe starting with Michael Bailey, because I always like to start with him and put him on the spot. I just go around because again, it's been great, Erin. But what are we going to do now as London Bridge to make sure that we crush it with our database?
I love it.
I'm just going to borrow the idea of the listings, not necessarily, well, maybe internationally, but adding more listings around the UK into the end of the database, because I think that's quite an interesting way to showcase what is available via Keller. And I think, to be honest, a lot of people love property, don't they? So it's probably very interesting. So I'm probably gonna, that's one thing I'm gonna take away.
Thank you, Michael. Who wants to go next? If you don't say anything, I'm just going to pick on people.
I'll go.
Hey, you guys, can I share something real quick? We, Erin and I teach a class and we taught advertising, and we did it in Paris. And as a test, we were teaching them how to make the ads. So I made ads in Paris, and just for fun, I was testing them all over. And I actually had a property in Paris that I put ads on in London, and I actually got a decent amount of activity. A lot of people were clicking on it. We didn't get any leads, but the exposure was actually pretty good. So it's actually a really great idea, Michael.
Thank you. Right, who's going to go? Who's brave enough?
I'll go. So there's 3 things I'm going to have a little look at. I'm going to revisit my database and just categorize them. I know I certainly don't have the A+ list, the A, the B, the C, but I certainly am going to identify my top 50 and make sure they know what I'm doing, why I'm doing it, and how they can help me. I'm going to do the newsletter. I really like the newsletter. I think it brings personality to the brand. And also, even though I don't have properties, there's nothing stopping me from talking about a property that's come to market quite recently, which people should go and see. And number 3, something we talk about a lot over here is just making sure we're doing those cuddle calls, so they'll be happening with the top 50 first, because I think I've just relied on them knowing what I am doing to trust me, trust them to give me the business.
Nice. Can't say fairer than that, ACD.
I've got a question. Hi everyone. Sorry. Say if you've got a big database, like you were saying earlier, Anthony, would you set aside some time to literally comb through it? Because mine has got to the stage where I'm like, it's going to be quite a task, kind of finding out who's hot, warm, cold, etc., etc. But it needs to be done because there's probably some golden nuggets in there that I need to kind of engage with. It's just kind of, I know obviously focusing on new business is great, but you never know who's actually in your existing database. So how would you use the kind of the second the surnames,
that first letter of their last name? Yeah, you know what? Actually, what I did was because I did this, I downloaded everyone, and then I wiped it clean, and then I went through one by one and called them. And I'll tell you, it was painful. But there were millions of dollars of listings and buyers in there. Like right after this, I'm running to the Upper East Side for a $3.5 million listing appointment, and she wants to buy from, and that was in the database that I wasn't touching, and that I made the commitment to move to command and call everyone again. Yeah. That is the only reason why I got this. So go through it, you guys. It's so important, and it's painful, but it is such gold.
Yeah. I appreciate it. I wasn't on the listing appointment as well.
Oh, thanks.
Good to see you, T. Simon Hills.
I think the newsletters, we used to do it a lot, didn't we, with MailChimp back in the day, right at the start, and I've stopped doing it because of Nurture. But I think more personalized bi-weekly newsletters is a good idea to get back into, or a good habit to get back into.
I think, yeah, and I think the thing there, Simon, is just time block it. And I'm not sure if you guys have been into Nurture recently. Everything we've discussed today, so I know Joe mentioned some questions, we can tag, right? So you can easily tag by surname. We've taken command and rebuilt it, and then we'll plug into it and move over at a later stage. So time block just some time to geek out on it. But you can, if you go onto the email piece now, before it was quite clunky, now it's exactly the same as MailChimp. You can upload a photo, you can throw some text in. It's really, really simple. And we've started utilizing it as a market center for kind of our touches. It's really easy. It's really easy to do. And what's great is, as a market center, we can all share, right? So we get stuff off Nadine. We can share different things that are going on, and our databases are going to be different, which is what I really like. So sign up. I've just put it in the chat, right? Erin's just shared her email. Patrice, if you do the same, that'd be great. There we go. We'll all sign up to each other's, and then we can, it's R&D, right? Rip off and deploy. Not verbatim, but if you see some really good stuff and I see Erin and Patrice nodding, that Mr. Bailey's doing, or Tobias is throwing out some really good stuff, then go down that route.
And you can take my newsletter and send it out if you want to your database.
Love it.
Nice. Anyone else before we finish up?
Yeah, I think for me, thing. Oh, sorry, Josh. Go, Smithy.
Yeah, I've got 4 bits. So like the birthdays. So sending out like a video birthday message. Once you've got everyone's birthday on Nurture, so just be automatic. So you do a little video, boom, happy birthday. So that'll catch someone on a good day. The newsletters, we're doing that on a monthly basis, but to do a personal video, just like Erin's saying, it's much more personal. People feel like you're talking to them, won't they? So that's nice. Asking for a referral at any opportunity, I sometimes drop off that, but I just had a valuation from someone who referred me, so without even asking. So there's gold in there, and then cold calls, like 100% is business in there.
Nice. I
was just quickly going to say that video, I think, is doing so well right now. And somebody said it the other day, it's because everybody's so used to Zoom. So it's like we almost talk through video now. Just wanted to say that. So if you can incorporate it.
Yeah. Victoria, have you got a question?
Yeah, I just wanted to ask Erin, do you personally do rentals as well as sales? Because at the moment, my background is sales, and we've sort of started this business. So although our business is not to go out and do rentals, we've got incidental rentals from previous clients, and we're very happy to do that. And if you do rentals, how are you personally tagging your sales and your lettings clients and then crossing them over from lettings to sales potentially for the future?
Yeah, so I do work renters as well. Renters are tagged as future buyers, and we do a smart plan for them. So we reach out to them right after they move. Well, before we'll offer them vendors. Right after they move in, we'll see how do they still like the place. Then 6 months out, I start saying, would you like to learn more about what the process is to buy? And I'll start having that conversation with them.
Brilliant, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Lovely. I think that idea, Erin, of the video thing at the start of your newsletter is a really good idea, because we spent I talk a lot. We talk a lot in the Micro Centre about the more face-to-face contact you can give people, especially in the COVID situation where we're actually meeting people belly to belly at the minute. If you can get your face in camera or in their inbox or on the WhatsApp, it's just going to make a huge difference. Which is why I asked the point about surely there's been an uptick in the response and the interaction, because it's just going to make a big difference. I think so. That's certainly, although I'm not personally sending out newsletters to clients as such. I'm putting as much FaceTime on things as I can. So I think that's a fantastic idea. And I would ask
thank you.
To adopt it. I think it's a brilliant idea.
It's so easy. Just hold up your phone. You're like, oh, you saw me. I didn't even brush my hair that day. Oh. Super simple. Josh, did you have a question?
I didn't have a question. I just wanted to shoot out my aha. But one thing, I joined Keller Williams about 3 months ago, so I'm just finishing my first quarter. And this is one of the reasons why I love Keller. Like we're all business owners, and we're plucking, tips and brains and different golden nuggets from other business owners from around the world. And like, you're in New York, I'm in London, Michael's in Preston, Annie's just moved up north. But I love this. But I think in terms of like the golden nuggets, I liked what you mentioned in terms of like the QR code. Something very different. So let's say you give a gift and they open up the lid, and then they can scan it, and then maybe whether it's your details, whether it's like some listings, or even something like abroad, like something, as you mentioned, something in France. So that's something that I like, which I'll look to do. That I thought was great.
Yeah. And flow code, FLOWCODE. Flow code, I'm pretty sure is the free QR code company that you can use.
What's it called? Flow code.
Flow code. Yeah, I'm gonna write it in here. Looking to the people that make it to tell me I'm wrong. So they didn't. So I think it's correct. Flow code. Thanks, guys.
Very good. Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.
Mega.
Well, thanks everyone so much for joining. And again, please do reach out if you have any questions. I love to be helpful. And I'm so passionate about the database. So please reach out. And also, I love Ollie, what you said about getting on everybody's newsletters, Chris, about getting on everybody's newsletters, sorry. Len Schwartz in Greenwich, Connecticut, I'm sure he would be so honored if you guys want to be on his as well. And he really, again, is a mega database user.
Who is that, Erin? Sorry?
Len Schwartz. He's a great person to follow.
We'll go find him.
And who is the other one? Brian Gustine.
Buffini.
Oh, Buffini. Yeah, Buffini. If you just like search Buffini, he's written books on how to work your database, and he has some good scripts there for note cards. Yeah, right. Rip off and duplicate. Totally. Awesome. Well, thanks again, everyone. I can't wait to visit England again soon.
More than welcome anytime. You've been an absolute star, Erin. Thank you so much indeed. And I think it's safe to say you've held the crowd really well. So thank you very much for that. And loads of nuggets. So really appreciate you. Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Yes. No, thank you all so much for having me. I really appreciate it. Thanks, you guys. Have a great day.
Bye. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.